Hey, sis. This is Kivette Minor Kane, your financial liberation expert, with another mindful money moment. And I just want to thank you so much for taking the time to join me so that we're able to have this amazing conversation, taking a moment to be mindful about our money. Because this is all about understanding how our mindset affects our money management so that we can make better decisions, create better habits, and experience a better quality of life. So, this evening, I actually have an amazing special guest for you again. This is Charlotte E. Terrell, and she is a motivational coach and speaker, a former therapist, and she's going to give us some inside scoop on the difference between therapy and coaching and why she made the transition, and some things, some tips and strategies that she has for us to be able to cope with depression and anxiety. So let me just tell you a little bit about this amazing lady. So Charlotte Terrell has worked as a clinical therapist. Currently, she is a transformational life coach, speaker, and author. She has evoked changes and positively impacted the lives of hundreds under her authentic, insightful wisdom and witty approach to life and its circumstances. Now, Charlotte has authored 3 books. She has founded 2 companies, and she currently owns and operates Images Motivational Consultant Agency. So this has been designed to support, assist, and improve the lives of individuals, groups, and families in the areas of compassion, communication, confidence, and coping. So her mission is to help people rediscover their power, their peace, and their happiness. And so let me introduce you to this amazing lady, Miss Charlotte E. Terrell, as she comes in to talk to us about depression and anxiety. Thank you so much, Charlotte, for being here with us today. How are you?
I'm just talking away. Mic is muted. I am wonderful. Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for taking this time to come and share with us about your expertise. So you're currently a motivational coach and speaker. However, as your bio states, you were a clinical therapist. What's the difference for our audience to be able to understand?
Therapy really speaks to going through the healing process. It's talk, it's processing what you're going through and just really trying to get to the point where you are making decisions or making changes based on what you need to do to be better emotionally, mentally, spiritually. So I did that for probably about 25 years. But as we stated before, I had just
Girl, you
gotten to
started when you were born?
I am 95 years old. So
Surprising, I'm telling you.
yeah, it's the brains.
It's the DNA. That's right. Those genes.
Right.
I'm
But
sorry.
I decided to transition into something else. I didn't know what it would be. I didn't even know that I actually was doing it before, but I didn't know what it was called. It really didn't get popular till around 2010.
Okay.
But I had just gotten to the point where I knew it was an hour. I was planning my grocery list. I knew exactly what they were going to say when they came in. I knew, okay, he about to cry. Oh, she about to talk about her mom. And I was just like, what I was thinking, all these crazy thoughts. What if I came in with clown shoes on? Would she take me seriously still? And I said, I'm doing a disservice to people if I stay in this field.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that I wasn't doing my job. I didn't disrespect anybody. I didn't disregard their feelings. These are just thoughts. And just because thoughts come to your head, that doesn't mean you have to entertain them. It just comes to your head. But I was like, I really want to do something else. And then coaching came on the scene.
Yeah,
and I like
in that situation where you're in such a routine that
Yeah.
it seems like it became predictable for you.
Yes.
Because people had their habits in that therapy setting where they knew they were just supposed to talk about this stuff, and that was all they were supposed to do.
Right. And whether they changed or not, they knew that they were coming back next week, so it didn't really matter.
Exactly.
But the thing with coaching, I'm sorry, go ahead.
That was my question was what was your motivation to move forward?
So I found an organization in Georgia when I was living in Georgia,
Mm-hmm.
and I was introduced to coaching, and I was like, wow, I like this. He said it is not therapy, and I said, great, but you still can help people. And I said, okay, good. So
Yeah.
it it's service, but it really is people taking actionable steps and being accountable for what they want. If you're a
Mm-hmm.
teacher and you want to transition into nursing, but not quite sure how to do that, you would sit with a coach and come up with some goals. I like to say that probably my first client that I knew I was coaching, but it was free, it was informal. I was at a funeral, and at the repast, I was talking to somebody. She was a family member of the deceased.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, so what do you do? And she said, I do such and such and such, but girl, I hate it. And I said, well, why do you do it if you hate it? She said, because I got to make money. I got to make a paycheck. And so this is what I'm doing until I find something else. I said, well, if you could do what you wanted to do, what would that look like for you? What does your dream career look like? And she said,
Mm-hmm.
well, I would be doing X, Y, and Z and blah, 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 blah. And I said, what's stopping you from doing that? And she said, I don't know. I said, well, let's do this. And I gave her some goals and gave her some things to shoot for and just some simple steps that she could take. And the last I heard, she was doing the thing that she wanted to do instead of the thing that she had to do. Yes, it was absolutely a yay for her. So shout out to Cynthia, wherever you are, whatever you're doing. I hope you're continuing to move in the vein of doing what you want to do.
That's
But
right.
yeah, that's really and that along with being introduced to coaching formally just really is what made me transition into coaching. I wasn't a bad therapist. I was the bomb therapist, and I'm the bomb coach.
I know that's right. Well, and taking kind of a dial back and helping our audience, because we're kind
Mhm.
of looking at the familiarity
Right,
we have with that concept and
right.
understand, but helping them to really recognize the difference in therapy. And I know for myself, having been to therapy, and for you having been a therapist, that it's kind of, you can fall into a very mundane routine very
Hmm.
easily, because
Hmm.
there aren't a lot of the motivating questions, the action steps that need to be taken.
Hmm.
There is just the simple pouring out of your story and you're being able to talk about what is bothering you.
Right,
Now,
right.
that is absolutely effective and necessary for
Hmm.
someone who's just getting started.
Absolutely.
We don't want to stay there.
Right,
We don't want to
right,
get stuck in that spot where we're just talking about it and talking about it and talking about it and talking about it. And so every time we open our mouths, we're just talking about it.
right,
And so, like you said, it becomes predictable. Maybe our family and friends, we've talked about it so much, they already know what we're going to talk about.
right. Right. And I mean, essentially, if you're in a long term therapeutic relationship, they almost become a family member to you because you
Mhm.
go and you share and you're completely vulnerable in front of them. And so they know who you are. And, it gets to the point where the familiarity does come into play in a therapeutic session, and it can in a coaching session as well.
Mhm.
But neither of them work if you don't change your mindset and do something different.
Mhm.
And they always say cliche, the meaning of it being insane is to do something the same thing over and over again and expect different results.
Yeah.
But even with coaching, it's just important to take the steps and do the steps. Do it afraid,
Mhm.
do it with uncertainty, do it with all of your fears and doubts about, well, I don't know if this is going to work or not.
Mhm.
Make that phone call, have that conversation, do whatever is recommended, because you'll see a difference and you'll see a change in the
Yeah.
life that you have towards the life that you want.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so after we have had an opportunity then to talk about it and to get it out, because the first step in healing is awareness.
You
Got to be
have to
confident
acknowledge it.
what the
Yes.
challenges are,
Yeah.
absolutely, in order to
Mhm.
address them. But then where you can take the next step with a coach that maybe therapy would not push you in this direction is where you're identifying what needs to be changed.
Right.
what needs to be adjusted, and then identifying the task that you can put into place, the action
Hmm.
you can take to make those adjustments.
Yes.
Yeah.
And a coach is very much like a sports coach,
Mm-hmm.
because we're going to go through the game and talk about your wins and why you won and what you need to do to win again and where you failed. You fumbled the ball in this aspect. So maybe next time you want to do it this way. And
Yes,
so the suggestions are made, and you have like a cheerleader with you all along the way with a coach.
absolutely.
A therapist is more objective. They have to be more objective, more standoffish, because really it's you processing your thoughts and feelings out loud with a therapist, as opposed to talking about, getting suggestions and getting recommendations about what to do.
Absolutely. Now, in this process, you have identified four major steps. And I think we talked about, I guess, the first step. So I would say five, including that first step that we talked about, becoming conscious of
Hmm.
need to do in order to make the changes. But you've got four steps that you highlight in your latest book and through your practice. And so, what are those four major steps that you encourage for your clients as well as for our audience to get started with, working on, how are you going to overcome the challenges that they might have with depression and anxiety?
Well, communication is one. Effective
Mhm.
communication is key. Making
Yeah.
sure that you know who you are and what message you want to be heard.
Mhm.
And knowing that your voice is important, just as important as everybody else. So, conveying your message, whatever that may be, expressing your needs, setting boundaries, all of that is encompassing when it involves effective communication. So, communication is one. Coping, or the key word that people like to, or the key phrase people like to use, is emotional intelligence,
Mhm.
um, emotional management.
Mhm.
Because, I was talking to someone with the city of Jackson, Mississippi, a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, and people coming to work mad. He's like, yeah, they sure are. I said, and if you're angry and you're coming to work and you're not channeling it in the correct ways, you wind up getting in trouble. You wind up losing
Yeah,
your position. So it's important to be mindful of what those emotions are and put them in check.
absolutely.
Communication. So communication, coping. Confidence is one.
Mhm.
Confidence is being able to hold your chin up and put your shoulders back and know, even if you mess up, even if you fail, even if you falter, you're
Mhm.
still all right. You're
Mhm.
still capable of doing what you're supposed to do. Until they put you in the ground,
Mhm.
you have purpose, and you are supposed to be doing what your assignment is here.
Mhm.
And then communication, confidence, coping, and finally, it seems like I said all of them.
I
Coping,
think you
communication,
mentioned confidence.
confidence, right.
Competence.
Communication, competence is one. That's
Mhm.
not one that I've added, and I see that you've added consciousness too. I was trying to think of
I
that
have
C
I
that you had
have
added.
your the set of C's that you set out.
I love it.
Yeah, and specifically, here you identify the areas of compassion, communication, confidence,
Compassion.
and coping.
Yes, yes, and compassion. That's the one that I wanted to talk about,
Yes,
because I've noticed that we are not compassionate on each other. We're not compassionate on ourselves. We're not giving each other grace, nor are we giving ourselves grace. I get so tired of hearing people, oh, she canceled. We canceled him. I'm just like, how do you cancel a person? Where did we come from with that?
ma'am.
How do we get to the point where we hate people who disagree with us?
Yeah.
You may have an opinion, or you may have a thought process due to your experience and your life and how it's evolved for you, and it's different from me, so I may see it from a different perspective. You see the phone this way, I see the
Mhm.
phone this way, but it's still the phone. And we
Right.
can agree to disagree, but we don't have to hate each other just because we don't have the same perspective on things. And so I don't know how it became a thing where you don't agree with me, so I hate you. Oh, you're one of them.
Right.
That's insane. It's crazy.
Yeah, yeah. And we need to be able to acknowledge one another, and as you said, to be able to agree to disagree, and being able to manage our relationship so that we are able to cope with the
Mhm.
differences, but even able to learn from the
Right,
difference, because
right,
that's we're able to find the benefits. You know, if
right.
everybody thought the same and did the same and acted the same and talked the same, then there would be no variety in life. And so we
Mhm.
need to have the differences between us in order to be able to challenge us so that we can continue to grow. You know,
Absolutely.
that's
And we
the
would have all been created the same if that would have been the intention of how we're supposed to be.
absolutely, absolutely. So here I know that you have mentioned three aspects, including power, peace, and happiness. Talk a little bit more about what that means to you in terms of your motivational program.
I guess I don't know if it's my therapeutic hat or if it's just the way my makeup is, but I
Mhm.
go all the way back. When we first got here, we were happy. We didn't have a care in the world. We were powerful because all I got to do is cry and I get this, or all I got to do is point and I'll get that. And we had all of this power and all of this peace because we knew mommy's going to take care of us, daddy's going to take care of us, or whatever caregiver we were in the midst of were going to look after us. We didn't have that problem. And then as far as the happiness is concerned, we were happy. No, what child is on depression medication? Especially a little bitty toddler. you know,
Right.
if if they're not laughing and playing, then there's probably something neurological going on. There may be drugs in their system or something like that.
Yeah.
But that's an exception to the rule. I mean, for the most part, children are happy. Children are free.
Yeah.
Children express their thoughts and their feelings, and they're open and honest and innocent. So when I say rediscover, I mean going back to that. What will it take for you to go back to that, not in a childlike way, but as an adult, as you've evolved? How do you find that happiness again? What will
Mhm.
make you happy? And what are you doing now that's making you unhappy? And how
Mhm.
does that change? Do you need to remove yourself out of some relationships and situations that are
Yeah.
toxic to you?
Mhm.
Do you have to spend time working on your passion? Because
Mhm.
I've met attorneys who were closet musicians, but they were burned out at work because they weren't on that guitar or performing. And I was like, look, if you want to sing or you want to play your instrument, you can do that on the weekends, and you should, because you're passionate about it. Do spend time doing what you love. Spend time with people that you love
Yeah.
and doing what makes you happy, because if you are continuing to do over and over again what makes you live and you're just surviving,
Mhm.
then you're not thriving. And if you're not thriving, what is all of this for? What is the purpose? What are you doing all of this for? At the end of the day, is it just about getting that paycheck, or is it getting a paycheck and living a fulfilled life?
Right. And see, that's where the money part comes in for me, because when we think about that, it is all about quality of life. But
Hmm.
really recognizing, what does quality of life mean? Because many people think that quality of life means that you can afford to buy all the luxuries of life. But that's not it.
Hmm.
Quality of life means that you've got time freedom, that you've got choice freedom, that you've got financial freedom, that you're not
Hmm.
in debt to somebody because you are a slave to the debtor, the one that you owe, that you are able to determine what you'd like to do with your time. So if you want to go and lay in the grass, go lay in the grass for a few hours,
Hmm.
you know,
Hmm.
for a day, go camping,
Right.
have a
Right.
good time. You know,
Right.
it's inexpensive, it's fun, it's something that you can do to improve your quality of life, because the
Right.
quality of life is really comes from your internal, the feelings that you have, and that is definitely your number one contribution, your mindset.
Right.
What are you thinking that's going to contribute to how you feel, how you act, how your body responds, your spiritual connection, and then, of course, your financial status.
Absolutely.
To have those things balanced and managed well. And so I know we had spoken previously about um, prayer and medication, and what is the difference that you often have heard in your field, what people will say about prayer and what is the thought behind medication.
Medication or meditation?
Medication, I
Oh,
thought.
okay. Okay. You said that. I heard it clearly. I just wanted to make sure that I
Yeah.
was clear. I know that with medication, particularly psychotropic medications, they make you feel good. And to the point, I've had a lot of clients say, "Oh, I'm good. I feel good. I took my meds. I'm stable on my meds." And it will stabilize you because whatever it does for your neurological system, it will stabilize those thoughts and whatever chemicals, dopamine, serotonin, anything that's out of balance, it will balance those.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as prayer is concerned, if you are praying and believing, there is a healing internally that happens permanently.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just stabilization, but it's almost like
Mm-hmm.
it's more of a permanent relevant revelation where you get clarity on who you are and who you're purposed to be, and aligning with moving in the direction of what you're supposed to be doing, as well as healing completely from past hurts, releasing things, forgiving people, letting go, and being open to what you're supposed to receive.
Yeah. What
So
I hear you
prayer
saying.
makes a difference in that regard. Go ahead.
Absolutely. So, what I hear you saying is that on the spiritual side of things, we want to make sure that we are connected and that we are conscious, that we're clear about the connection that we have spiritually, so that we're able to have that fulfillment within us,
Right.
emotionally as well as mentally.
Right.
And then on the side of medication, where it's going to work on our physiology, so it actually
Yes.
to balance out the hormones and the different things that balance us out on a physical level, that actually affect how we feel even still. So
Right.
we have to find that balance for ourselves between the two, to make sure that we're managing well and that we can be successful in our healing process. Not
Absolutely.
just to continue on with the therapy, but to make sure that we are gaining some healing and becoming healthy as a result of that therapy.
Absolutely.
And I kind
And
of look
I'm a proponent of it all. There may
absolutely.
be a combination of things that you need: medication, therapy, and a coach. I mean, you may need it all, or a couple of things at different points, and whatever works. I believe in different pathways to healing. Prayer
Absolutely.
always works as far as I'm concerned, but
Absolutely.
some
Absolutely.
people may
But
not
we
agree.
can't rely on one of those things alone. We can't rely on prayer alone, because a lot of times, especially in the Black community, we'll hear people say, "Oh, just go and pray about it. Go talk to Jesus."
Yeah, your faith is not strong enough if you don't see
Right.
changes. Right.
Right.
Hmm.
And you're not getting better. So, where are you falling short? And that's where understanding how the medications can work for a person who needs that,
Hmm.
be able to benefit in those hormonal balances, because there
Right.
is physiology that goes into play here when we're talking about the balance between depression and anxiety. So
Absolutely.
how would you encourage someone who is trying to identify, and understand? I want to make sure that our audience is clear about this. We are not offering any medical advice. We are not offering any, specific advice for your circumstance or
Mhm.
situation. This is a general conversation, because there's a multitude of folks who will come in and get this information. But just with this general knowledge, you are being encouraged to do your own research, and then when
Mhm.
you do that research, you're able to now pull together some good questions, so that when you go to talk to your medical team, because we each have to have a medical team, it takes more than just our primary care physician, but then also talking with maybe an endocrinologist to understand the balance of the hormones in your body, and then to deal with your psychologist or psychiatrist, so that you're able to deal with your mental health and being able to understand the physiology of how all of those things work together. This is a general encouragement for you to do the research necessary in order for you to gain optimal.
Absolutely.
And so,
Absolutely.
what would you encourage the audience? Is there, understanding or trying to figure out where do they fall into this balance? They feel like something is off, don't necessarily know what, but how would they, be able to take some steps towards? Just give us, those first three steps towards a healthy resolution.
Okay. First, acknowledgement.
Hmm.
Don't just stuff it. Oh, I'll be all right. Oh, I'm just tired. Really look at it and say, no, I'm not all right. And it's okay to not be all right. It's okay to
Hmm.
not be okay. But the first step is acknowledging. The
Hmm.
second step is taking an inventory of the care that you're giving yourself. Would you
Right.
trust you to be your caregiver?
Right.
What are you doing to make sure that Cavette is okay? What is Charlotte doing to make sure Charlotte is okay? And
Yeah.
it's more than just self care. Well, I get my hair done every other week, more than just that.
Yeah.
Are you really paying attention to what you're feeding your spirit, what you're feeding your body?
Hmm.
What exercise are you giving? Are you getting fresh air and are you getting enough sun? So really being mindful of that and taking an inventory of that. And then finally, if it look at the circumstances too. I
Yeah.
mean, sometimes I may, for instance, I may get sad all of a sudden and not really know why, and then realize, oh yeah, I lost my dad a few months ago. It's been 9 months now. It's not even been a year.
Yeah.
So recognizing, okay,
Mhm.
this may be it. It may be a circumstance that is caused you to be a little off that day. You
Yeah.
may have seen something or heard something that made you think about a loss or think about a place of pain.
Yeah. And so we've
So
got to identify
know
those
that.
triggers as they
Identify
come
those
up,
triggers.
so that then
Yes.
we're able to find what is going to be the action that we need to take in order to
Right.
care for ourselves to really
Absolutely.
move towards that healing.
And
So
if it's prolonged, if you notice that, I'm feeling anxious too much, too
yeah.
often, I'm feeling depressed too long,
Mhm.
it's been 3, 4, 5 months and I just can't shake it. That's when you need to go to another professional and see, what it is that you need to do, whether it needs to be medication, whether it needs to be therapy, whether it needs to be both,
Mhm.
and take care of it that way instead of, I just get some wine and that's all I needed to get some wine, smoke a little weed, I'll be all right. Don't take it that way.
That's
Don't
self-medicate.
self-medicate.
Right.
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 We
We
said
need
at
to
the
make
same
sure that
time,
we're actually
self-medication.
taking steps to heal and be
Right.
healthy and become whole. And
Yes.
so here you've got a couple of books that you've written, but there was one that I really loved. You talked about the title is Dis-Ease, the 30-day guide to comfort, depression, and anxiety. So how
Yes.
can our audience be able to get access to that book for you?
That book is on Amazon. It is a Kindle book and it's only a few bucks. It's not even that much. It's an easy read. It's very short and it's not day one, do this, day two, do that. But if
Mhm.
you've implemented these things over a 30-day span, you will see a change. And again, as Kvet indicated, we're not suggesting that this is the end all be all and take our advice and don't go to anybody else. But these are
Mhm.
just things that can help you to feel better and to be better. And so in that book, I have a lot of different tips and tools to use in order to help to get your mind right and get your body right and feeling better if you're in the place where you're feeling depressed and anxious.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Charlotte. I greatly appreciate you coming on and sharing this information, helping us to understand the difference between the therapy and the coaching, and then recognizing those challenges for dealing with depression and anxiety. Recognizing
Mhm.
you brought out those four steps, being able to cope with your circumstance, having communication,
Mhm.
building up your confidence, and finding a place of compassion,
Yes.
not only for yourself or from yourself toward other people, but finding a place where you can receive the compassion that you need.
Yes, absolutely.
In order,
Absolutely.
absolutely. And so there's one statement that I believe comes from your book, and you said, of course, this is a statement that's universal. We've heard it 1,000 times, but it can't be emphasized enough. You said, "Love thy neighbor as thyself,
Yes.
but don't
Yes.
forget yourself."
Yourself. That's right. It
Yeah,
wouldn't have been written had it not wanted us to include ourselves.
yeah,
Because we spend so much time, especially women. We do a
hmm,
lot of pouring out, making sure everybody else is okay. Oh, I'll get to me later. No, you're important too. And I
hmm,
always say this may be morbid or whatever, but if you're dead, somebody's going to step right into your place. If you're dead, you can't take care of the people that you want to take care of. So
right,
take care of you and make sure that you're okay
yeah,
and pour out from the overflow, not even from your full glass, the
hmm,
overflow, so that you always have enough to give.
absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Charlotte, for sharing with us today. I know this audience will love to get a hold of that book and make sure that they're putting into implementation those 30 days worth of tips and strategies that you give to help them to really recognize the coping, the communication, the confidence, and the compassion that we need
Yes,
to have in order to heal, to be healthy, and to become whole.
absolutely.
All right. So
Absolutely.
thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you
You're
so much.
welcome. All right. And I'll talk to you in a few. So we see here, I thank you, ladies, so much for being here to watch this program and to share this information. This is where we're able to reset our mindset, to really take a hold of what's necessary for us to set a strong, firm foundation where we're able to become mindful so that now we've got our mindset right and we can work on managing our money properly in order to accomplish the success that we desire in terms of quality of life, as well as fulfilling our purpose. So check in with me the next time for Mindful Money Moment. I look forward to having another amazing guest sharing some more tips and strategies for you to be able to use and to benefit from as you are on your journey to self-sufficiency. Have a wonderful day.